Before we start this video, I want to give a big shout out to Vodafone for sending me the iPhone 12 Pro to review. So if you do want to check out their 4G, 5G plans and also where to buy the iPhone 12 Pro, check the links in the video description. This isn't a sponsored video, but I do appreciate them sending out the phone for me. I've already reviewed the iPhone 12 this year and I called it one of the best rounded smartphones thanks to its objectively good features across the board. The iPhone 12 Pro is tricky because it's basically an iPhone 12 in a different colour and with a telephoto camera. See, last year the lineup was pretty different. We had the iPhone 11 Pro, which was kind of the smallest one. Then we had the iPhone 11, which was slightly bigger but had like larger bezels and a worse screen. It was objectively worse, although still a good phone. And then the 11 Pro Max, which was like the biggest version of the 11 Pro. So it was different sizes across the board, different feature sets across the board. Overall, they were different phones, and so you would kind of have a reason to buy one over the other depending on your needs and wants. The iPhone 12 series doesn't operate in the same way. Of course, we got the iPhone 12 mini and then the iPhone 12, and both of those have very similar feature sets, they're just different sizes. And then we have the 12 Pro, which is just a 12 with a telephoto camera and a different color and like a slightly brighter screen. And then we have the 12 Pro Max, which makes the bigger changes. So, you know, it's a bigger screen, bigger battery. It's actually a slightly different camera setup as well. So yeah, the iPhone 12 and the 12 Pro don't have much differentiating them, but one big difference is the fact that the 12 Pro costs £300 more than the 12. So are you getting £300 more phone? Let's talk about that. Just to give you some context, you could buy two Pixel 3a XLs on the used market for £300. It's not insignificant a difference. Just like the iPhone 12s, the 12 Pro's display is a 6.1-inch OLED with a resolution of between Full HD and Quad HD. However, the Pro is slightly brighter at 800 nits as opposed to 625 nits, which is actually noticeable outdoors. In fact, it was one of the first things I noticed holding the two side by side outdoors when getting some photo testing done. The fidelity is as good as it realistically needs to be, but of course it's not the smoothest in the world, being 60Hz as opposed to the more common 90 and 120Hz displays that we're seeing in Android smartphones in 2021. This is something that actually I didn't think I'd notice coming back from a 120Hz screen, but you do notice it. So if you're really into that, avoid the iPhone 12, but if you don't mind, it's still a very, very good display in the iPhone 12 Pro. However, the 90Hz or 120Hz would have been a good reason to upgrade to the iPhone 12 Pro over the standard 12. It would have been a better differentiating factor and you would have got more for your money. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. The battery is also the same in the 12 as it is in the 12 Pro, but with a brighter display, of course, if you have both at max brightness, the 12 Pro is going to give you worse battery life just because it's using more power to drive that display. Overall, I found battery life to be pretty good on this thing. You know, if you're using it most of the day to just scroll through Reddit or Twitter, the sort of things that I do. I'm not a gamer, I'm not stupidly intense with my smartphone, but I was able to get a full day and to finish it with between 20 and 40% depending on the brightness. That was actually quite a big factor. If I had it on max brightness, it would drain way faster than like a medium brightness, which was actually a little bit more than what I'm used to just because the display is so bright it uses quite a bit of energy. Although when you come to charge it, of course, the iPhones are pretty slow at charging over the wire. You don't get the block in the box, but you do get a cable. And what I found is the iPhones are kind of nice if you're the sort of person to charge your phone overnight, because it's more of a trickle charge than like a silly fast charge. If you use one of the 5-watt chargers which Apple provides, then you're going to get even slower speeds, but of course that's going to help with the battery, say if you charge it from like 10 till 8 in the morning. But if you're in a hurry, you're not going to get this thing topped up quickly, put it that way. Even with the 20-watt Apple charger, it's just not going to be fast enough compared to some mid-rangers that even use 65-watt chargers. Of course you do get wireless charging and you get the MagSafe, or MagSafe, because not really MagSafe, is it? There we go. You know, it works fine. It does the job, but it's just not that fast. So if you're really into that, you really want faster charging speeds, you just have to look on the Android side. A note I'd like to make about the standby time is that standby time on iPhones used to be incredible. You used to be able to leave your phone on standby for like a week and it would only drop like 10% battery. But modern iPhones, I don't know if it's to do with the Face ID sensors kind of looking for you or something, but the standby time is nowhere near as good as it used to be. And it might not be a concern for most people, but it's something that I've picked up on after reviewing iPhones for the past 5 years. It's just got progressively worse, and I think it really took a toll when we moved to the iPhone 10 format with the Face ID. That's kind of why I think it could be the Face ID thing. But if you know the answer to this, or if you're concerned about this as well, let me know in the comments. I want to talk about the design quickly because whilst it is pretty much the same design as the 12, the switching of the matte sides and glossy back to the matte back and glossy rails makes the phone, in my opinion, one of the best looking ones in 2020 and 2021. The flat sides are really unique to a modern smartphone, and the flat front and back, really nice too. This is the sort of design I like to look at. However, as I said in my iPhone 12 video, it doesn't result in a particularly ergonomic phone. In fact, I would say you probably want to put a case on it because the harsh sides can dig into your hand. They're not silly comfortable, but of course it does look really nice. So then, what about the cameras, Cameras are some of the biggest things talked about in smartphone tech these days, and this seems to have just a slightly altered setup from the iPhone 12, which is a lot cheaper. Well, you do get that 2x telephoto lens on top of the other cameras, which the 12 Pro shares with the Pro. This means that you get a nice 50mm equivalent focal length with the 12 megapixel sensor. This goes along with the 12 megapixel main sensor, the 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and the 12 megapixel selfie camera. Technically, none of these are the highest quality in terms of hardware, but of course Apple is more focusing on the software processing and continuity between its lenses. What this results in is some pretty great performance. There's plenty of dynamic range, and Apple's processing favours lifting the shadows for more dynamic range, which makes for brighter photos, though might not be to everyone's taste. I found Apple's processing to fall behind Google's most of the time. I just feel that it doesn't look quite as natural, but that's also subjective, and you might prefer Apple's way of doing things. Images look sharp enough, colourful enough, and while not super accurate to real life, do at least look good on phone screens. I went out and took quite a few photos during our time in lockdown because, well, I live in the countryside and I was able to go out for a couple of walks. I did find that the iPhone likes to slightly overexpose, and that's kind of the tendency with iPhones, but do let me know what you think about these in the comments because I could be wrong on this one. So, is the 12 Pro worth going out and buying? Well, it all depends if you can get it on a deal or not, because I feel at its £1,000 price tag, it doesn't do enough to differentiate itself from the 12. If you really want the design of the 12 Pro, because it is a gorgeous design in my opinion compared to the 12, then go for it. If you're willing to spend £300, that's fine. The telephoto lens is good, but it's not a proper telephoto lens. It's not going to be anything like what you see on a Samsung smartphone, and the fidelity isn't nowhere near as good. The camera setup is one of the probably top 5, top 3 best smartphone cameras, but it's not, in my opinion, Samsung level, and it's not Pixel level. It's definitely not Huawei level, but then Huawei phones don't have Google Play services, so there we are. I think the inclusion of even a 90Hz adaptive refresh rate would have been way better here, just because it gives that differentiation between the 12 and the 12 Pro. I think for £300 you could just either keep the money because we're in a pandemic and you probably shouldn't be wasting money, or you can use it to buy something nice for yourself. Is that an ambulance? The iPhone 12 Pro is a great smartphone and will keep you going for 3, 4, 5 years because Apple's software support is great and it's already ahead of the curve, so I imagine in 3 and 4, 5 years it will be just fast enough. Heck, I know lots of people who still rock iPhone 6Ss, so to think that people in 5 years time would still be rocking the 12 Pro, it's not unthinkable really. Anyway, before we wrap up this video, I want to give a massive shout out to Vodafone for sending me the 12 Pro, and they also sent me the 12 last time, and they sent me the Galaxy Note 20 as well. So I do really appreciate them. Thank you so much guys for sending out the devices. Please do check out the links in the video description to the devices and the plans, just to help me out a bit. They're not affiliate links, but just go browse their site. You might find something you like, and then you can pick that one up. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. Please do like, dislike, comment and subscribe if you're around here to never miss a video like this one, and let me know in the comments what you think about the whole iPhone 12 Pro being just an iPhone 12 with £300 slapped on the top of it. Maybe you value something that I don't, or I've just missed something huge. It's possible. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for being continually supportive. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Peace.